everyone, salam alaikum. My baby just woke up from his nap, so he's going to join me and we're going to make the best of it and hope that my 3.5-year-old doesn't wake up. So I'm gonna jump right in and answer some of the questions that you guys sent in and some of the questions that I usually get anyways over on my own Instagram page because they're usually the same. So the first one is always what made me revert to Islam. And I always say that it's a very long story. Oh, I know, sweetie, I'm sorry. Sorry, he was supposed to be sleeping. It's a long story, but basically the short version is that I hit a really bad time in my life. And I was searching for answers and I found them in Islam. And I studied it for over a year. And I just believed it to be true. And then right before Ramadan in 2014, I decided to convert. It did not have anything to do with my husband. We were married before I converted. We were married in 2012, but we were actually living separately. We were still married. Everything was fine. Just for work reasons, we were living separately at the time I converted. So it really had nothing to do with him. Sorry, I'm just looking, I have some notes written on construction paper, the questions. So somebody asked what my struggles are as a Muslim. I think my struggles are probably the same as people who are born Muslim, except for maybe because my family isn't Muslim, that can be hard. They're pretty accepting though, but obviously at this time of year during Ramadan, not having that connection with your family and being able to celebrate with them is hard. And, when they're celebrating Christmas and look, who's that? Mommy's trying to talk. It's very important. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, so obviously Ramadan is more difficult and Eid and everything, but I think everybody's getting a little bit of taste of that this year, right? Because now a lot of people are not able to be with their families because of these lockdowns. Here, Eli. Here. Don't you know we're live on camera? So people aren't able to be with their families during these lockdowns. So I've been saying actually for the past, week, a lot of people are talking about how Ramadan's going to be so different, and for converts it might not be that different because we're used to spending Ramadan alone, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. I know that we love the festivity of Eid and Ramadan, and a lot of people have huge iftar parties and they go for Tarawih every night, but it's not really what Ramadan is about, right? It's really about connecting inward and connecting with the Quran. So we actually have a really great opportunity to do that when we don't have any of the distractions of the outside world, for those of us who are at home. I know some people still are essential workers and are going to work, so I can't imagine how hard that is too. I think other struggles as a Muslim revert, besides just your family not being Muslim, it's really fitting in with the community. I was just saying to my husband today how, I'm a little bit too out there for the Muslim community, and I have a different lifestyle maybe from some people, or a different background, or whatever it is. I mean, we all do. We're so diverse. There's over 1 billion Muslims, but I think you know what I mean when I say that. I just don't necessarily feel like I fit in at the mosques here in my city, for example. But I'm also kind of straddling on the other side that I am a little bit different than non-Muslims, Maybe some of my values are different. Not always. I have a lot of non-Muslim friends, a lot of Christian friends too, who, we share the same values, and, we all are trying to be good people and good parents and get through the world in a good way. Sorry, this is very distracting. I really pray that my 3-year-old doesn't also wake up, or else we're just done for. Okay, let's see what's left of my notes here. Okay, so I'll talk more about Ramadan because we're in Ramadan and that's what we're here for, the Ramadan takeovers. I shared some tips in the stories about getting through Ramadan alone and, you know, what I feel like is important during Ramadan, which is really connecting with the Quran. That's the base of our faith. That's what this month is really supposed to be about. But also, like, the revert aspect of it, I don't have a lot of those traditions. My husband, he was brought up also not really Muslim. Like, his mother is British Christian, so he didn't really grow up with like these rich traditions for Ramadan and Eid either. So obviously I have 2 kids, and you know, the spirituality aspect of it is for us, but for them, like, I still want to make it fun and festive. Obviously they're not really like connecting with Allah so much during this time as babies and little tiny kids, so we want to make it fun. So, you know, trying to navigate creating those traditions, like doing new things with the kids in a way that I wasn't brought up, that can be difficult. And I really want to stick to things that I feel like are part of our culture, because I want my kids to feel like their culture is compatible with Islam and that they are, you know, represented in this religion. I don't want to like take on cultures or like traditions from other cultures, you know, like Indian or Arab or whatever, and make that part of our Ramadan, because that's not who we are as a family. I mean, we're not Indian. Sorry. My husband is half Indian, but you know, he's Canadian. We're Canadian, so I really try and think about ways that I can like incorporate different traditions into Ramadan with the kids. You're killing me. You're killing me, Smalls. Okay. Do any of you guys have any questions, since my notes have been like crumpled up here? Hey, it's your first Ramadan. Whoops. It's your first Ramadan. So I'm obviously not fasting either, because I'm still nursing Eli. This is Eli. I haven't fasted in, I think this is my 5th year. Come here. Yeah, this is my 5th year not fasting, which also makes things really hard. You need a lot of extra motivation. How do you make time for worship around your kids' schedules? It's hard. Honestly, it's really hard. Like, I'm so tired at night that if I try and read at night, I fall asleep. You're tired too, yeah. What are your struggles with being Muslim? I kind of spoke about that before. Honestly, my biggest struggles are just with like the cultural aspect. And because there's, you know, there's 2 parts to Islam. There is true, like, pure Islam, and there is the whole culture and tradition around Islam, and I find it really hard to connect with that a lot of the time, because it's just not how I was brought up, and I have to navigate also separating the religion from the culture. Oh, look, they think you're cute. I don't think you're cute. I think you're a bum. Here, play with this. Play with this. You're usually so calm. I swear, it's like, do you ever FaceTime or call somebody, and as soon as you're on the phone, your kids are like going mental in the background, even though 5 seconds before they were perfectly calm and collected? It's always like that. They sense that there's somebody else involved. Did you meet your husband before or after you reverted? I met him before. I met my husband in 2012, and we got married in 2012, and I reverted in 2014, right before Ramadan. What's wrong? What's wrong? I can't nurse you when I'm live on Instagram. What's going on? Oh boy. I might have to let you guys go if he doesn't stop. I'm trying to think of something that I can get to interest him that isn't me. Here, look at this guy. Look at this guy. Yeah, a lot of people think, so one of the biggest mistakes you can make when you're talking to a revert female especially is like, I'm not saying that you implied this, but a lot of people think that you convert for your husband, and probably some people do. I mean, probably some men convert for their wives too. But for somebody like me, who's like a really like strong, independent, feminist woman, it's like, what, you know, it really turns your life upside down. Is that something that you would do for a man? I actually told my husband when we first got married that I would never convert. So it was definitely of my own accord. I think that he was just as shocked as everybody else in my life, actually. Was he a part of your decision to revert? I mean, I can't say that there was no influence, right? Because obviously he introduced me to Islam. He like opened me up to Islam more because I saw that it really improved his life. I'm going over to the toys. I saw that it improved his life and improved his character. I saw like a lot of the peace that it brought him. So I think that like opened me up to Islam. But I don't think it was like part of the decision. I don't know. It's so complicated, right? Can you share your spiritual journey? I wish I kept a journal, actually. That would have been really great because I never expected to be doing this and necessarily like talking about it so much. So it's so hard to remember a lot of the things that went through my head. But honestly, what I did was study tafsir of Quran. I listened to like 1,000,000 hours of lectures with Numan Ali Khan. And also like studied some of the Sirah with Yasser Qadi. And so one thing a lot of people ask me is which translation I use to read Quran. And I actually don't. I don't read Quran in English. I don't think it's like a bad thing or anything. I just find that any translation is an interpretation. And I don't want to read an interpretation. I really want to learn like what the words mean, and Arabic is so complex and so nuanced that I just don't think it can be translated into English. And when I read translations, it leaves me with more questions than answers. So I'm just scrolling back through some of the questions. My turning point was actually, it was Ramadan. It was right before Ramadan in 2014, and I wanted to fast, but I hadn't admitted to myself yet that I was, that I wanted to be Muslim. I had changed a lot of things about my life and my lifestyle, but I really wasn't ready to make the leap because I felt like, once you become Muslim, like you can't turn back from it. You better be pretty sure. But I wanted to fast Ramadan. And then I just kind of had to admit to myself, well, like, why do you want to fast if you're not Muslim and you don't want to be Muslim? Like, you just need to like make the decision. Yeah, Yasser Qadi's Sirah, I think it's like over 100 hours or something of lectures. I would listen to it. I would drive to visit my husband in the US. It was like a 12-hour drive. And I would just listen. I was really lucky at that time, actually. I was also commuting to work by train. So I had a lot of time to listen to podcasts and to read. Now I have time to do nothing because I have 2 kids. So I definitely study Islam a lot less. And I think it would be a lot harder now to like really learn the amount that I learned in that time. Eli, I really don't understand what's going on with you, buddy. Here. Look at all that. You guys know, if you're mothers, that you have a lot of time and yet still no time at all. Okay, well, I think I covered what was on my notes that people asked in the stickers. So does anybody have any other questions? I mean, like I said, I posted the link in the stories. I did a long podcast, child-free, with Unsweetened and Unfiltered, where I talk a little bit more about my story. I talk about, you know, how I feel about not changing your name and holding on to your identity as the person that you were before you were Muslim. That's something that's really important to me, because just because you convert to Islam, it doesn't, you're supposed to change for the better, obviously, and you grow, but you're still the same person. And, you know, you don't have to change really important things about yourself. What type of Canadian Ramadan rituals have you started? Well, I don't know if they're Canadian. I don't know what, I wish we could be going to the, we have something called Cabana Souk here in the spring, but can't do a lot right now. What I do, so the rituals that I have, I would just say these are the same things I do every Ramadan. I always cook really big stews and soups, and that's what my husband breaks his fast on. I would be breaking my fast too if I was fasting. So really big, like hearty stews and soups, and fruit salads, which is really nice here in the summer when we have the fresh fruit. We're sort of like getting out of those Ramadans now where we have fresh berries. And everything like that. We do a lot of crafts at home with the kids. Like with my 3.5-year-old, we're starting to do crafts, and I haven't decorated yet. I'm a little behind. Ramadan kind of snuck up on me this year. It's like a very weird year for everybody, right? How has writing helped you with having a soul for Ramadan? Writing helps me with everything. I rather write than speak, because when I write, I get to like take all the chaos from up here and put it down and organize it and really think about what I want to say. Like, I really feel like you should always say what you mean and mean what you say. And it's hard to do when you're speaking, because sometimes your words come out before your brain catches up. But when you're writing, you can really organize your thoughts. And so I like to write about my spiritual thoughts, because it helps me to organize it all and to figure out like what do I really think, because sometimes we don't even know what we think or what we believe, because you know there's just so much going on in our brains and then so much going on out in the world. We may not really take the time to like reflect on it. So that's something that I really want to do this Ramadan too, is like not just study the Quran, but actually sit and reflect and even like journal about it and about like the different ways that I can actually apply those lessons to my life, instead of just like talking about it or, you know, just doing lip service or knowing it but not applying it, because there's really no point in having knowledge that you don't apply. I don't publish my writings on a blog. I used to have a blog, but I felt like I don't know, I don't think people really read like long form stuff anymore. So I just write on Instagram now. I would really like to write a book, and when I have time, I would like to write more long articles and things like that for like publications, but it's a lot of work having like a whole blog. Let me scroll back. How's COVID-19 in Canada? Yeah, Quebec, where I live, was actually one of the first places that like shut everything down. So I got back, I was on a trip, I got back on the 11th, and it was like the 13th or 14th or 15th or something of March that everything shut down. So that's been really weird. My older son usually goes to daycare as well while I work at home with the baby, and he hasn't been, obviously, but we're pretty lucky. Like I really can't complain, because first of all, our government offers a ton of support. We just moved from an apartment in the city out a little bit into the suburbs into a house. Like, seriously, alhamdulillah, that has been my lifesaver, having a backyard for the kids and everything. So yeah, I mean, I don't know how it is in the rest of Canada. I can only really speak from my own experience, but I think that they're going to start opening things up again fairly soon. Do you ever feel judged for your choice to keep your name? I don't know if I like judgment, but I think it's really strange when people ask what your Muslim name is. Like, it does bother me, and I shouldn't let it bother me, because I don't think anyone has ever asked me that, like, with malicious intent. But you don't have to change your name when you convert to Islam. I don't think you should, because I think you should respect your parents, and I think you should respect your own identity. I don't need to change my name to an Arab name because I'm not Arab. I mean, the only thing is, like, if you have a name that means a bad thing, but generally speaking, we don't name our children anything that has a bad meaning, right? Like, names are, in every culture, have good meanings. What's your take on writing being an emotion suppression mechanism for a lot of persons as against voicing their thoughts? I'm not really sure. I think my writing is voicing my thoughts. I don't really know what that means. I guess maybe if you're like journaling to yourself, but I still think that is a good thing. At least you're getting your emotions out. Some people just don't really feel that comfortable, like, speaking their thoughts out or just being able to express themselves in that way. Is this your other Insta page? No, it's not. I'm just doing a takeover for today, and actually I'm pretty sure after this live it's going to be over, because I'm in Canada on Eastern Standard Time, but the page is on GMT, which is in the UK, so they're later. I think I'm just scrolling back through, but I think that I got everybody's questions, and I think that I'm going to sign off in a moment if no one has any other questions before my other child wakes up and everything gets even crazier. Eli, hi. Okay, so unless anybody else has any questions, well, you can always DM me. I'm really good about answering my DMs, actually. You can ask my husband. I spend a lot of time doing it. But I really like talking to everybody. I really like sharing people's experience. I say that I've had trouble, like, finding a Muslim community, but it's not entirely true, because I actually think that I've really found it online, and I've really found a lot of people that, you know, have the same beliefs as me and, you know, feel the same way as I do on a lot of things. So. He did calm down momentarily, but now he's like, okay, that's enough. I want the attention on me. Okay, well, it was nice to chat with you guys. Check out the rest of the stories that I posted here for some tips on Ramadan. And like I said, you can always DM me. My handle is @rebecca.con. Okay, Assalamu alaikum.